Welcome to Big Brother Basics, where we break down the basics of Big Brother Canada 3. My name is Jacob Harple, and joining with me is the always fabulous, always fantastic, sometimes blonde, Keith Guerrero. How are you doing tonight, Keith?
I'm doing fantastic, fabulous, and blonde. Thank you so much for having me.
Thank you for joining me, as always and ever.
Forever.
All right, well, I just want to give a quick disclaimer. The only reason I'm wearing the same thing that I wore last night is because I'm obviously going through some issues right now. So I can't just wear like t-shirts and collared button-ups without getting very uncomfortable. I just wanted to let you know that, Keith, in case you were asking.
I was definitely wondering, definitely questioning, but it makes sense. You need to exude the heat away from your body.
Yes. And speaking of, I don't know, a segue wasn't going to happen. So we've got the veto episode tonight to talk about. Honestly, this episode, all in all, was just kind of for me personally. I feel like not too much happened. I felt like a lot of the storylines that happened last night kind of bled into this episode. We got a little bit of Johnny Kevin drama. And other than that, it was just kind of a uneventful night. What did you think about the episode as a whole?
I completely agree. It was kind of boring, but at the same time, it also solidifies why I'm okay with Johnny and or Sarah leaving, because I personally just am okay with them leaving and for the rest of the house to start competing against each other, you know? So we'll see.
Yeah, so let's go ahead and we'll jump right into the episode. So the first thing that I kind of want to talk about is just, at the very beginning, everyone in the DRs is just confirming that Johnny has to go. Johnny's the target. He's the biggest threat in the house. Do you think this is the right person for Bruno to be targeting?
Um, I I'm not sure. I think Bruno has his reasons. He has legitimate reasons to go after Johnny. Bruno is very good at maintaining a lot of relationships, and I think targeting Johnny is good because Johnny used the veto to like send home his closest friend Greg. So it makes sense for him to go after Johnny. I think Bruno could have justified anybody, Sarah or Kevin or Pilar, if that was even an option. But and the whole house would agree with him because Bruno is just that good at persuading people. But I think based on what he's reading inside the house, I think Johnny is a very smart move to help his side of the house gain a little bit of power and to also have as little blood on his hands as possible.
Yeah. Yeah, I agree. I think Johnny's a good target for Bruno. I think the only thing that really frustrated me about his DR concerning his plan to get rid of Johnny is that he just kept talking about how Johnny is the biggest threat in the house, which I thought was just it's not true. Like, obviously I think Kevin is the biggest threat for Bruno's game. He said it himself last night. He's not sure if he's on the other side or if he's just playing the middle. He just knows that he's not with him. Well, that mixed with the fact that he's won so many competitions or has proven to do consistently well should, kind of give him an incentive to go after him. But all in all, I think going after Johnny was a good plan for him. I just kind of wish, I don't know, I wish he would say that he was targeting Johnny just to create momentum for his side, to maybe weaken a number that, was originally thought to be in Kevin's corner. I'm not sure anymore, though. Instead of just whole BS, like, he's the biggest threat in this game. I don't know. It just seems like something that people say all the time, and it doesn't really make any sense.
Yeah. Yeah, but I think that that's also Bruno's personality to like build people up. And so like even though he's nominating somebody, it's not out of hate, it's not out of malice. He's like, you're a really good competitor and you are the biggest threat. Maybe not to the entire house, but to Bruno's game specifically.
For sure, for sure. And I know that's not something he can just say publicly. I don't know. I think Bruno's being very careful, and I think it was a good move. It's just, I don't know, just a little nitpick I had for him in his DR. So
Yeah.
let's talk about Sarah, because I feel like, we got a lot of Sarah last night, not being the most composed player in the house. And I don't think she was as bad this night, but we definitely saw a little bit of some overreactions, some frustrations coming from Sarah. Mainly her conversation with Brittany. What did you think about that conversation?
I was really frustrated hearing Sarah's DR, where she took basically zero responsibility for why she's on the block and placed it all onto Brittany. Like, she's like, you know what, Brittany, thanks for saying I'm your number one ally, but it's a little late now. I'm already on the block. Well, Sarah, what did you do to avoid being on the nomination block? That's not Brittany's job. Let me just put that out there first. What would you prefer, you and Brittany to both be on the block? I mean, so if that's what you prefer and that's what you think an ally should be, then you're a selfish ally, to be completely honest. So what did you, were you going to say something?
Well, I completely agree with what you're saying, and like I know this might be sound a little bit harsh, but I think Sarah is very selfish, and if she was smart, she would realize that Brittany, what Brittany's saying is like, at least we're not both on the block. Like,
Right.
of course, it sucks that you're next to Johnny, but if you and I are the partnership, then you should be happy that at least not both of us are up, so that way I have a chance to save you.
Yep.
And so, but Sarah's just so nearsighted. All she sees is, oh, I'm on the block. Oh, blah, 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 blah. My allies didn't make sure I wasn't going on the block. And it's just kind of like, come on, Sarah. Like, you can't expect people to bend over backwards. Someone on your side was going up. People see you as a big threat. Maybe you shouldn't be talking about Big Brother all the time. That's just me.
The more like DRs and I guess gameplay I see from Sarah, like the less I like her. And it's very unfortunate because I thought she was very rootable at the beginning, but just over time, either the paranoia or just her decisions, her reactions inside the game are just really over the top, not really thought out through, and pretty unfair. Like particularly with this interaction with Brittany. So I don't know. That's why I'm also okay with her leaving, despite her being like one of the outsiders inside the house. I could see why she's an outsider. She's very selfish.
Right, right. Like, I don't get me wrong. Like, I like her, and I understand why she's upset, because I think it is becoming more and more obvious that the guys that are in the Hexagon Alliance are just playing the middle, like really don't have any loyalty to her. But I think, excuse me, I think she really was just a little too harsh on Brittany and her DR. I think Brittany has shown that she is loyal to Sarah. And you know what? You want to try and save both people, but you got to make sure that you're safe too. And the guy that you took out, his best friend is HOH. Like, what do you want her to say? Like, you want her to promise him rainbows, and you want her to promise him the $500,000 check, or I'm sorry, $100,000 check.
Thank you,
It's just,
Canada.
yeah. So I don't know. I thought it was just another instance, kind of like last night, where I was just a little disappointed in Sarah, and I wish that she wouldn't be so, I guess, nearsighted, or I think selfish. I think selfish is the best way to describe it.
Another thing I want to talk about Sarah's gameplay is that she is so upset that her Hexagon Alliance didn't really benefit her. But as soon as she's on the block with Johnny, she's already like trying to make Johnny seem like the bigger target by saying, you know what if I plant these seeds inside Johnny's mind, and then he starts like going out and making big deals out of nowhere. So she's wondering why these people aren't loyal to her, but she's doing the exact same thing to somebody who's probably the most loyal person inside the Hexagon Alliance.
That is actually an excellent point, Keith. I completely agree with what you're saying. I think it's also slightly hypocritical that she's, walking around and pouting about no one in her alliance is watching her back. And the moment she's on the block with Johnny, she's planting seeds. She's coming up with ways to try and get Johnny to blow up his game and sabotage himself. I think it's super hypocritical for her to be saying that and being just, I don't know. I completely agree with what you said. I didn't even think about that.
Boom. There it is. Sarah, you're
Boom.
exposed.
You're exposed. Okay, so so we have a little bit of Kevin and Johnny interaction before the veto, but let's just go ahead and jump into the veto, because I feel like that's primarily what this entire episode was about, was the whole Johnny and Kevin drama. So the veto competition, it's basically kind of like a knockout competition. What did you think of the overall format? Because I love competitions that forces people to show their hands. And I want more of those, especially where we have so many people playing the middle. What do you think about that veto?
I
Like
think
just the
that it was
competition.
right. I like the actual competition. I think the timing of it sucks. I think that it should have been played this week, especially considering we had like the special veto twist, because this veto challenge in particular did not benefit the nominees at all. Everybody that's off the block wants to remain off the block, so they're going to go after the nominees in hopes that the veto doesn't get used. And the nominees themselves are going to be constantly targeted. Poor Johnny was being targeted by all 5 people the entire time until he was eliminated, so he basically had no shot. So I didn't like the competition because it really didn't give the nominees this chance. And that on top of like the special veto twist this week, it like how do you expect the veto, like the double veto, to be used if like one of the nominees don't have a chance to win it?
Yeah, but I feel like the nominees would have had the chance to win it if they just stuck together. Like, I thought that the veto picks were so beneficial to the nominees. Like, Sarah had Brittany playing, and, Johnny had Kevin playing, someone that he had used the veto on just last week. And I felt like if this group stuck together, they could have had a great chance. And the reason why Bruno and Bobby were able to just so easily win it were because everyone on the other side playing in that veto was so quick just to eat each other that it screwed all of their chances. And I think it's a very good representation of that kind of gameplay. We had people like Sarah or Kevin, just so focused on, I got to get rid of who the house wants out. I got to take them out. Well, now that person's out, then the house starts ganging up on another person, which is Sarah, and then Kevin, and then Brittany. So the people that are using those tactics of, we just got to all do what the house wants, which is actually what they want, they're able to create chaos and have people start attacking each other while they're organized, they're sticking together, and they're just taking out their targets 1, 2, 3. So that's why I don't know. I think that a lot can be seen from competitions like that, and it's always frustrating when people don't understand the fine print and just kind of brush it over.
Yeah, I understand what you're saying. So going further,
Yes.
because inside the veto competition we got to see people's cards,
Mhm.
Kevin immediately went after Johnny, and this is somewhat surprising considering that Johnny used a veto on Kevin the very previous week. What was your thoughts? What was your reaction when Kevin immediately went after Johnny?
Well, Keith, I have many reactions, and because at the end of the day, you're right. The the less emotions you can have while playing this game, the better. You got to be thinking strategically. Um, you can't let your friendships or feelings or whatever yada yada get in the way. I agree with Kevin on that, but I just don't see the point in helping the steamroll of an ally that was always going to have your back. Like, I get it that that's what he wants to. He wants to curry favor with Bruno, the HOH, but it's frustrating for me as a viewer because we know that if the veto was using regardless, Kevin was going up, or at least was most likely going to be the option. So it's just kind of like that example of, well, I'm not the target now, so I need to make sure that I do whatever I can to make sure that the current target is the current target. But all he's really doing is delaying the inevitable. I think it's better for you to take a risk, try and set yourself in a position where you can win the veto, and then he can use it to save his ally in both wins. I think it was kind of a cop out strategy for Kevin to do. I understand why he did it. I'm not going to sit here and say it was a bad move for him to basically seal Johnny's fate. I just don't think it was a good move.
And here I am with a
Yes.
completely different perspective.
Hmm.
Uh, so I'm not a huge Kevin fan. I said that since day one, and it's because I just discovered him as like a slime ball, and I think I was able to finally see his slime ball abilities, which actually made me like him more. It made me appreciate him. Kevin's heartless. He's willing to send anybody packing if it means he can stay another week. I think something that's we have to keep in mind is that Kevin's game is way more complex than we give it for. Like if Johnny leaves, he's still okay. He has Pilar, who has Ashley, so he may have Ashley as well. He's working in very close capacity with Zach and Jordan, and they're keeping him in really, really tight. And so I think he's trying to work that middle ground, and Johnny is basically somebody that's going to get eliminated anyway. So why stick your neck out and put yourself onto a sinking ship, like attach your name to a sinking ship by taking an unnecessary risk and trying to save somebody who is definitely going to be on the outs and is definitely going to go home. I think Kevin is rolling the dice and is taking a chance to prolong his game by making the house happy with what they want, because everybody seems to be on the same page that Johnny needs to leave. Even when Johnny was talking to Zach, Zach didn't say, "Oh, I'll try to keep you." He said, "You got to win that veto." Like everybody's on the same page that Johnny is the house target. Johnny even knows he's the house target. So if everybody is okay with Johnny leaving, why disrupt the harmony inside the house by trying to win veto and making some paranoia of a backdoor replacement when it's completely unnecessary?
I think that I don't think that it's a problem for him to be cold-hearted. Like, I think that's great. I think, that's an attitude you kind of want to have in the Big Brother house. But I don't think it's an attitude that you want people to know that you have. And so I think in a way it hurts Kevin's game, because as soon as he announced he was going after Johnny, it was this huge deal. I'm not really sure. I don't think we really, correct me if I'm wrong, we didn't really get a reaction out of anyone except for Johnny and Kevin about the whole thing. But I think that people had pegged them as that they were close. Obviously, Johnny used the veto on Kevin. So regardless if they're saying they're not they don't have a bond to other people in the house, it's not true. So in a way, I feel like to see Kevin, I'm gonna call it scumbagging. Like scumbag someone that was so close to them and had used the veto, had saved their life, I think is something that could potentially hurt Kevin along the road. Because I see that and I think, all right, well, if Kevin ever offers me a deal where he needs me to save him and he's gonna, watch my back on return, I can't take that worth anything, because obviously he's thinking about himself. He's going to do whatever keeps him safe, even if it means he has to throw his closest ally, one of his best friends, under the bus. So I feel like he kind of hurt his perception or his, I guess, what's the word I'm looking
His
for?
character.
Yeah, his character. Like people are going to be more hesitant to take stock in him or stick their neck out for him if he's in danger. So I think that Kevin, honestly, I don't think it's a bad move. I don't think it's a bad move. He was going on the blog. He needed to make sure that the veto wasn't going to get used, so he wanted to put it in the hands of people that weren't going to use it. I totally get that. That's fine. I just think that the whole, like, I'm tearing out my heart, I'm doing this for me, like, I want to show everybody. It's just like, I feel like Kevin's biggest downfall is his theatrics, his necessity to show, like, make a big debacle out of everything, and like with the throwing and then the winning and then this, and I think it's really gonna hurt him. And you can't play the middle when you have such a huge target on your back, and I think that's what he's trying to do, and I just didn't like it. Like, I think,
Yeah.
but to be fair, and I will say this, I totally agree with what you're saying, and like I totally understand both sides of this. I think that just the way that this competition was set up, I think it was a lose-lose for Kevin no matter what.
Mm-hmm.
Because that's the game
that's a
he's playing.
Yeah.
Exactly. So I don't know.
I think after reflecting on it and hearing what you had to say a little bit, I think I'm not necessarily like co-signing with Kevin's moves, but I'm really happy that his character is being exposed the way it is, because it's what I saw since day one. Like, he's just a douchebag. And so I'm really excited, I think, that he kind of threw somebody who had his best interest at heart completely under the bus. And I'm hoping that the house guests take note, and I hope that they get rid of Kevin, because I would love a Kevin eviction.
I honestly, I don't see Kevin in this game past Final 7.
Mm-hmm.
I really don't. I think he'll be lucky. I think the comeback twist is gonna take some heat off of him, probably, depending on who comes in and what they have to say. But I think that maybe take out a few more people, if that. I'm being generous here. I think he's going to be public enemy number one because he's proven that he's a competition threat, he's a social threat, and he's only out for himself. Who is going to want to work with someone like that? Like, I get that he has Zach and JP, but they're only dragging him along, I think, as a shield. And I don't know. As soon as they realize he's hurting their game, they're going to cut him, just like they've done to everybody else. So it was very frustrating to see Kevin, who I feel like has on multiple occasions definitely scumbag or cut off people that were most likely never going to come after him. And he's running out of these allies. So it's just going to get to the point where the whole house is going to win HOH and be like, how about we just backdoor Kevin this week? And no one's going to care.
You know what? When you mentioned JP, it made me kind of think, because JP commended Kevin's performance. He's like, Kevin did exactly what he needed to do. He was heartless. He did everything he needed to do to work with us. And it kind of made me think that JP was kind of like the Don in the Mafia. And Kevin's like out cutting everybody's throats and, you know, doing all these eliminations, making a huge target of himself. And then eventually the Don's going to be like, all right, you've done enough, and just completely gets rid of him as well. So I think that's awesome.
Exactly. Exactly. Like, think about it. Like, if JP's like, oh, you're doing exactly what you need to do, like, that's just, like, any smart player sees that and they're going to file it away. They're going to file that information away. They know that he's capable of that. It's going to be something that they always think about when they're working with Kevin. And
can I just say
I don't know.
the douchiest moment from Kevin was when he selected Johnny, then immediately after he was like, the wind is good. It's a gentle breeze.
He's just making a joke. He's just making a joke out of the whole thing.
It was completely awful. Like, this is some dude's life at stake inside the Big Brother house, whose dream was to be on the show, and you're just sitting there being a complete...
Like, why not just go after Sarah first instead? He knows everyone's going after Johnny first. Like, you look at the kind of challenge, Johnny's not going to win this. Everyone's ganging up on him. Like, why? Then you could at least be like, you know, at the end of the day, guys, he used the veto on me. When someone does that for me, I had to show him that respect. I think players would respect him more for that instead of, I don't know. I feel like it's one of those moves that we're just going to look back like 5 weeks from now, and we're either going to say Kevin did the right thing by doing this or Kevin did the wrong thing by doing this. It's just like one of those moves. It's going to be, I feel like it's a butterfly effect moment where, you know, we don't know if it's going to be positive or negative, but we definitely know it's going to have some sort of impact on him.
Yeah, I completely agree.
So I want to stay on topic about the veto, though, because another person that I was a little disappointed in this veto was Brittany. It's one thing if Brittany went in and was just like, I don't want to win. Sarah's not going anywhere, blah, 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 blah. But I feel like Brittany made it known that she wants to try and save Sarah. Yet immediately what she does is she goes straight after Johnny. I don't think this was a good move for her. I think that I understand that she has a working relationship now with Bruno. I get that. That's fine. Excuse me. But why she has enough reason to go after Bobby or even Kevin. Hell, she just put both of them on the block. Like, she has, like, who cares? Go after Bobby. Like, it's fine that you don't want Johnny to win, but guess what? Johnny isn't going to win. Don't target him, though. You're just doing the work of everyone else in that veto competition. And if you help them get him out, they're just going to start targeting you and Sarah even faster. So, I mean, you already got this confirmation from Bruno that you weren't going up as a replacement. Kind of use that against him a little bit. Target Bobby or Kevin. Help keep Sarah alive in this game, and then go for it. So, I don't know. I just thought that I felt that she, much like Kevin, kind of copped out. I get why. Like, we've already talked about Kevin. That's fine. But I feel like Brittany had a better reason to not go with the majority. And I feel like she wussed out.
I respectfully disagree, because Brittany... his main concern is to make sure that her main ally, Sarah, remains in this game. And if that is at the expense of Johnny, then that's okay. She doesn't want, the worst case scenario is for her to be nominated against the block, against Sarah. So if she did take a stand and decided to go against Bobby or Kevin or Bruno or anybody else other than the HOH's wishes, you're competing against the same person that has the power to potentially nominate you. And if you don't do what they want during the POV competition and the wrong person wins the POV, either them or one of his allies, then you could very well go on the nomination block. You become that much more of a potential replacement nominee. This Power of Veto competition is very intricate because the decision maker that gets to make a replacement nominee is competing against you, and you can't just eliminate them with one round. You have to hit all 3 targets. You're going to go after them repeatedly. So your intention is going to be completely clear if you completely go after somebody else. So I think Brittany played it smart. I mean, the house wants, quote unquote, Bruno wants Johnny gone. And I think Brittany co-signing that with the thought that she needs to save herself and she needs to save Sarah is completely okay. I mean, I completely understand why Brittany did it. And she's doing damage control with the nominees. I mean, she nominated them the week before and was like, you know what, I'm not even going to go after you first in this competition. I think Brittany's social game is okay with the decision she made with this competition, which is why I dislike that this competition happened. It really screwed over the nominees.
Yeah, I just think that they were screwed because they were so focused on getting each other out that the HOH and Bob, like Bruno and Bobby, were just able to completely capitalize that, and it wiped the floor with them. I don't know. I think the only worst case scenario for Brittany is Johnny wins veto and she goes up as the replacement. And so if my thing is like if everyone's already targeting Johnny, then why not take the advantage to take a few shots at a player like Bobby or Kevin, and increases the chances that you might be able to win or Sarah might be able to win to help you 2 out. Yeah, if Sarah wins, she'll probably go up, but Johnny's still the big target. Johnny's still going home. If anything, Brittany would just go up as a pawn. So I don't know. It's just it's that age-old question. It's that mentality that players have had, and we've seen it a lot last season in Big Brother 16. It's like the target's not me. I have to do whatever I can to just make sure that it's not me and just do what these people want to get this person out. And that's how that the detonators of the bomb squad were able to just completely steamroll through the season, is they had this mindset instilled in people's minds. It's like, you're not the target. It's this person. We got to do whatever we can to get this person, this person, this person. They get that person out. They move to B. We got to do everything to get this person out. You're not person B. You're fine. Get this person out. Go on to person C, and so on and so on and so on. And I just feel like this veto competition was just kind of a smaller version of that.
Sure.
And so I don't know.
I definitely hear what you're saying, and but I just think that this season in particular, the relationships are way more intricate. And right. I know that we talk about Big Brother as a game where you have to keep your opportunities open. You have to make sure all the doors are open. And sure, they closed the door on Johnny, but Brittany doing that, she left everybody's door open with the rest of the entire house. She's not if she were to go after Bobby, she's closing a door there. She's potentially closing a door with Bruno for not going after one of the nominees. And it also affects everybody that's not competing in the competition. What if the veto gets used? One of them could be nominated, so they could distrust Brittany there. And you don't want to solidify yourself on a sinking ship. I mean, Brittany is doing a really, really good job at making it seem like she's not completely with Johnny and Sarah, but she's open to working with other aspects of the game. And if she were to go after anybody else, she would just solidify that she's going to be on the outs as well and would just cement her eviction in 2 or 3 weeks. So I like Brittany's move. I understand it. I respect it. And I think that her taking a chance on her social relationships with everybody else, I think it's actually possible that she could wedge herself in some potential alliances and make it farther. So like I said, I don't think Johnny is worth it, which is why I approve everybody's decisions this veto competition.
Fair enough. Fair enough. I guess it's just kind of one of those things that we just got to see. Just got to see how the chips
cookie crumble.
Yeah. All right. So Bruno wins the veto. And I think at that moment, it's pretty much game over for Johnny. Unless the veto twist it's a forced veto, which unfortunately it wasn't, is the double. there's just no reason he's going to use it unless they can convince him. Do you think that Johnny's move here would be to potentially throw people under the bus to try and get him to change the plan up with the veto? What do you think?
At this point, he needs to get in good with Bruno, and I at that like his ass is on the line. His alliance sucks, so why not throw them under the bus? You know, like your back's against the wall. Your worst enemy can become your new best friend. And sure, you might not be able to bring anybody but yourself to the table, but uh, I think that Johnny's move really is to go after Kevin. Like, instead of trying to trust Kevin to vote to keep him, like, go after Kevin. I think
Oh,
that's the
yeah.
move to do.
Honestly, I think would have been a good move because, like, at this point, if you're Johnny, you have nothing to lose. Like,
Exactly.
you're going home. You're going home. Like, people, like, he's smart enough and should know this game well enough that, actions speak louder than words. So the fact that you have, like, Jordan and Zach and Kevin are just like, oh, yeah, I mean, it might be hard, but, we'll see what we can do. We might be able to get the votes. Like, no. Like, they just completely teamed up on you in the veto. You're screwed.
Yep.
Go to Bruno, blow up the guys alliance, blow up the hexagon, be like, you know what? Shit, you don't even have to use the veto on me. Use it on Sarah. Let's backdoor Kevin right now. It's obvious that he doesn't have my best interest and he doesn't have your best interest. This is a guy who's going to go back and forth, and he's good at comps and people love him. Let's make a big move right now. I'm not coming after you. Let's get him out. I would have loved to see like a Hail Mary plan from Bruno or from Johnny as
Yeah.
soon as Bruno won the veto. And I just feel like he kind of was more focused on the fact that his Kevy Wevy wasn't completely on his side. And he wasn't really thinking about, okay, well, what else can I do to get out of this situation?
Yeah.
And I think that, sorry, and I'm going to say one more thing, sorry,
No, you're good.
because
You're good.
I'm thinking. And so, and we kind of, I'm a little disappointed in Johnny because we kind of saw at the beginning of the episode when he was having that conversation with Zach, and it looks like Johnny's like number one plan is I just got to win this veto. And like I get that he wasn't really in the greatest spot ever, but if your number one plan is to just get out by winning a competition, that's not good. Like you really shouldn't you really shouldn't rely on the fact that you have to win competitions in order to get out. I feel like he didn't necessarily think about any other ways that he could get out of the vote or, do what he needs to do in order to stay. And it just sucks because I feel like he did have a couple of options that he just completely disregarded and really didn't even think about.
Yeah. Like right now, he has to take a risk right now because like he's playing it safe by doing what's comfortable. He's going to Zach, he's going to Jordan, he's going to Kevin. And these are people, well, Kevin specifically, he made his intentions very clear in the veto. So it's time to take a risk. We can't play it safe trying to rack up votes. Take a risk, try to align with the people that are coming after you, change their mind, and potentially it could sway the way for another eviction. Hell, Sarah's throwing you under the bus, you don't even know it. Throw Sarah under the bus if the veto's not used. Do something, but I don't know. Like him, like exactly what you said. Like his only plan was to win veto. He didn't do that, and now he's probably just gonna walk out the door.
Yeah. What did you think about the conversation he had with Kevin and JP? We kind of talked about it a little bit, but basically they were just telling him what they wanted to hear. Do you think it was a little too much on their part, or you think it was just kind of necessary?
I think it's necessary because JP and Zach want to keep their options open. You never know with Big Brother Canada, there could be some crazy ish happening. So you have to make it seem like you're always on their side and trying to work things out. So I think that they played their cards right with that conversation.
I agree, and I think another reason why it was necessary was kind of like what we were just talking about. Like you don't want Johnny to feel like he's screwed because then they have to be worried about, all right, well, if his back's against the wall, he's just going to start saying shit. And so you want to kind of give him that false sense of security, even though it does seem cruel and it does seem a bit much. You want to try and prevent him from blowing up the hexagon or any deals that those three guys are in. So my first reaction was, this is kind of hard to watch, but then it's kind of that it's the cruel truth. You need to keep him aloof so that way he doesn't try anything risky.
Yep.
So the veto ceremony is about to pop up, and whoa, there's a twist. And Bruno, that's my twist sound.
Whoa.
Whoa. That's the oh no, some twist is gonna go horribly, horribly wrong. But
Oh no.
so Bruno gets called into the vault, and it is revealed that Canada has selected the double veto, meaning he has the option to use one veto, two veto, or zero vetoes. Um, let's be real. I think it's pretty safe to say he's probably not going to use the veto. What do you think?
I agree, which is why I want risk takers inside the house. There
Do
should
you think?
always be options for you to evict somebody. So, hey, if you got like a special power to remove two nominees from Canada, why not use it? Make your country happy. But we got a bunch of safe players wanting to be concerned about their social dynamics inside the house. So selfish of them. I understand it because you're not a hot mess like me, but damn. I mean, you could have just thrown up Kevin and Peely and called it a day. I mean, come on, Bruno.
Yeah, but to play devil's advocate here, Kevin just completely destroyed Johnny in that veto. Do you think it would have been a little? Do you think it would have been a?
Which would have been karma to
It
Kevin
would have been all. Trust me,
because you just
love
no from Bruno. He's like, I just saw some absolute shit with Johnny as ally, and I feel bad for him now. So guess what? Johnny's off the block. Sarah's off the block. Kevin, please take a seat because I don't trust you. Pilar, you're not going to vote for Kevin to leave. You're just going to sit there and look pretty. Okay. That's all he
That's
had to
what
do.
I
Been
think that would have
awesome. Plus,
actually.
Johnny and Sarah would still be a target because they're still outside of the house. And I mean, are they going to win a competition? I mean, their track record isn't that good. So
Because basically what he set himself up for right now is, all right, I've drawn the line of the sand with Sarah and Johnny. One of them's going to go, but if Sarah wins HOH, give me one reason why she shouldn't put up Bruno. And so I feel like he doesn't trust Kevin. He is threatened by him. Why not take the situation and go, you know what? These guys are willing to do anything to stay in this game. They're mad at their allies. Um, they've been completely scumbagged. You know what they look like? They look like the perfect people to scoop up. I think it could have been.
exactly.
And so I don't know. I don't think it was a cop out for Bruno to like. We don't know if he's going to use the veto or not, but I think we just didn't get enough in the show tonight that would have insinuated that the veto was getting used. You know what I mean?
Exactly. Like the entire time he's saying his target's Johnny, his target's Johnny, his target's Johnny. And then at the very end, he's like, I have the option to remove two nominees. Like you
Yeah,
could tell he
right.
was reading that. So I don't know.
Right.
I also think that he's not going to use it, unfortunately. But hopefully he
Yeah.
does. That would be crazy if he does. He'll become one of my favorites for sure if he does.
I think it would be pretty crazy. Just be like, you know what, Kevin, you showed me in this video that you have no loyalty whatsoever. How freaking nuts would that have been? Like if
That
he
would be
did that
great.
and they put
That would
up
be great.
Kevin.
Kevin gets
They put up,
evicted and comes right back inside the door for winning the
I
competition.
know, I know. See, that's what's
That would
gonna
have
be
just been
crazy.
great. Yeah.
So let's go ahead. Let's go ahead and assume a little bit. Let's say veto doesn't get used. Johnny gets evicted. We now have our 5 house guests that will be competing with the Colonel himself to try and get back into the Big Brother house. So assuming Johnny is the one that leaves on Wednesday, is there anything changed with who you want to come back? Who do you think will come back? What are your thoughts?
I would actually want Johnny to come back the least out of all of them.
More than Greg?
More than Greg. I think that it would actually be hilarious for Greg to return. Like, I'd be okay with it because I
I would.
can't stand him.
No,
Oh,
no.
yeah. Yes, I'm that much
The
of a hot
one
mess right
person
now.
on that side that goes home, you would want them to come back? Ah, come
Because it
on.
would be funny. It would be so hilarious.
No, no, I disagree.
Yeah. And then also, Risha has absolutely no connections with anybody. So, like, her coming back would be great. So, like, meeting a brand new person. And then, of course, Cindy and Neha are our favorites. So, I would like anybody but Johnny to come back.
Pilar would have her first enemy in the house if Risha came back. Be like,
Oh.
still doing yoga, I see. I'm onto your game, Pilar.
So who are your picks? to come
I
back.
think I still want Neha to come back. I think I've gotten like here's the thing. For me, it's like who wants it more, and I just feel like Neha, not even close, wants it the most. I
Yeah,
feel like Johnny didn't give me enough this week to show that he would be worth a comeback twist, like a second chance.
yeah.
Greg basically told Arissa he didn't want to come back.
Hmm.
I don't think Risha has the social game or physical game to do anything. So I'm still all for Neha or Cindy to come back, but
Not to mention,
more
Neha
so
was removed without even getting to compete in veto.
that's what I was just about to say is like plus it would be great to have someone because instant evictions just suck and it would be great to see her get another chance.
Yeah.
So yeah, nothing has completely changed. If no matter, I think no matter who leaves this week, whether it's Sarah, Johnny, even maybe Kevin, I think it would be great for Neha to still be the one that comes back.
Yeah, I agree.
All right, so we are just a couple days away for the next eviction. It should be crazy. We'll see what Bruno decides to do with the double veto, and then we'll find out who will be the fifth and final person to get evicted before the KFC returnee twist. So you definitely want to make sure you catch the show this Wednesday night, but you for sure, definitely for sure, want to make sure that you catch our breakdown of the episode. Keith, is there anything you want to add?
I don't believe so. Let's wrap it up.
Let's wrap it up. So follow us on Twitter at Jacob Harple, at Most Humble, at Sarcastivities. Make sure that you subscribe to us on YouTube and like us on Facebook. We're always talking about the show, what's going on. We love hearing from you guys. We love just answering all questions related to Big Brother. Can't get enough of it. So definitely contact us or like us, subscribe, yada yada, the whole spiel. And most importantly, remember to stay basic.
Stay basic. Bye.
Bye.